All right, welcome everybody to the Friday Mastermind Trust Engine Mortgage Coach Sales Boomerang. We got Win by Noon, Todd Bookspan, we got Plug and Play, Deborah Bird, and then we have two special guests. Before I bring those special guests on stage, Mr. Win by Noon, anything you want to say to set the table for today's mastermind session?
Well, I think anytime we get a new face in here who's going to talk about the process and streamlining the process is going to be awesome. And I do want to give a quick reminder of all of those of you who purchased tickets virtually or live for the Modern Mortgage, Modern Real Estate Summits. You would have gotten last week an email giving you access to the recordings. And so look in your email if you don't have it. If not, you can just email info@winbynoon.com. And for those of you who have FOMO and did not buy a pass to watch it, you can purchase either 30 days or 365-day access. Just go back to modernmortgagesummit.com and you will find it there. And just a quick side asterisk and note, the recordings are available in a different location than you watched it. So when you see the fact that the email has a link somewhere else, it's actually to the Win by Noon training vault where we've launched those. Don't be shocked. That's the biggest aha many of you have had, but like, haha, I've been logging into the wrong place. But just know we're here to help, and we're super grateful for all of you who have supported it, and the feedback has been phenomenal, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah, just to pile on that, Bill Hart, I interviewed him this week, and he said on record, like if you listen to that video, he goes, it was the best mortgage event I've ever been part of. Coach Bill Hart's been doing a lot of events. Shayla Gifford said the same thing. I interviewed her. They said those publicly, and they also texted those to me. It was really special. So check it out. Deborah Bird, anything you want to say before we rock this out?
Yeah, one of the things that Denise spoke about was the multi-generational shift. And so that's been a real focus of mine these last couple of weeks of studying those demographics. And it's right on point with this title, because although we all have automation and maybe some marketing automation that may be on autopilot that we haven't gone back to review, I love the fact that it's titled personalized automation, and that's really important to the younger demographics, especially that they don't want to feel like they're just on some conveyor belt. So I'm ready to take notes. I got my notepad, my handy dandy Win by Noon planner, and I'm ready to go.
All right. So before I introduce both of our special guests, I want to frame this call around a quote I said from the stage at the digital tech conference years ago, that technology is not going to eliminate loan officers. It is taking market share, but technology is not the biggest threat. It is, data-driven mortgage advisors are absolutely going to take market share from loan officers and aren't. Like, it's this combination of leveraging technology super smart, super effectively. That is the future. And by the way, it's not the future, it's today. One more thing I want to say, and I've talked about WACD from this stage many a times. WACD stands for what Amazon can't do. Like, specialty retailers that are doing what Amazon can't do, and what Amazon can do, their stock is up, they're thriving. Specialty retailers that aren't doing that, they're either already out of business or their stock is down and they're going out of business. So that is the era that we're in. We're in this digital age shift. And as a mortgage professional, as a real estate professional, you need to use automation in super intelligent ways. So we've got two great guests. We've got Brian Sparr, who is a technologist. He's got a bit of a backstory in the mortgage and real estate space, but he's, trust me guys, I've had a couple meetings with this guy. He is one of those super smart, strategic technologists that understands business strategy, understands selling, understands housing, and he understands how to go beyond CRM. Like for the most part, every lender, like, I know what a CRM is, I know what marketing automation is. He's going to enlighten you that how you leverage technology could truly be game changing. And then we have Hunter Marckwardt, who I've had on this stage a number of times. He's to say he's a top producing mortgage professional, I think is understating who Hunter is. Yes, he's done hundreds of millions of dollars annually as a market leader in Northern California, but he's been a coach for the Corps for many years, and has been one of the most elite coaches So he really understands how to be a badass mortgage professional, how to mentor badass mortgage professionals. I hope you won't take this offensively, but Hunter isn't like the sharpest tech guy out there. Like, it took him a while to adopt MortgageCoach, but you know what? He knows when he should invest in technology, and he knows how to get the right people on the team around him to adopt it. You know, like, they use MortgageCoach. He uses his CRM, despite the fact that, like, no, he's not a nerd. He's not like Mr. I love using technology. He just likes the results that it brings to his mortgage practice. Hunter, welcome, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And I wish I was a nerd, by the way. Like, I've tried to become more. I know, I really do. I wish, like, I try to become more of a nerd, and then I go down that path and it doesn't work and I get frustrated. So, but yes, I think, Dave, we were laughing before. I think it's taken me about 8 years to fully embrace MortgageCoach. And now we literally, I mean, now we do it. I do it. Erica does it, my partner. I mean, every single time we're using it. And it's kind of embarrassing, like, how many times you can go through life going, why didn't, how many times does someone have to tell me to do something, and then you actually do it and it works, and you're like, really? 8 years? So anyway, glad to be here.
Well, I love that. And while you were later than Jeremy to the MortgageCoach game, you've done a tremendous amount to help spread this mission. I know, as a coach, last year you told all the people you were coaching they needed to do a 2-1 buy down TCA and use it to recruit realtors. Are you still advocating that as not only a tool for pre-quals, but it's a tool for recruiting agents?
The 2-1 buy down?
Yeah, and just MortgageCoach as a whole.
Yeah, MortgageCoach as a whole, for sure. I mean, it's like, and I mean, we have, Dave, I mean, everyone listening, it's not, I don't believe in selling something that I'm not using. And I mean, we've used MortgageCoach throughout. I mean, I think we're always on your whatever ninja list of, but to truly embrace it and literally lead with it, instead of it just being a platform to showing someone rates and payments, that has changed. And so, yeah, I would say we lead with it a ton. On the 2-1 buy down, not as much right now, just because we've got inventory issues and sellers are, in charge again a lot. So we're seeing less opportunities for that. And our community is a lot of jumbo too. So by and large, as much as we love the 2-1 buy down, it's not as exciting right now, just because of, inventory, and it's still being a seller's market with where we are.
Cool. All right. Well, you guys kind of picked this headline. Although instead of starting with personalized automation, to me, that's like a means to an end. The headline we promoted was secret to stronger relationships. So Hunter, why don't you kind of share, now that you've been enlightened and you're working with Brian and you're using MortgageCoach and you're using technology differently, why don't you kind of just speak to secret to stronger relationships? And then let's go back and forth with you and Brian on, what is the secret? How are you executing? And Deb and Todd, jump in anytime. And anyone in this community, guys, it's a mastermind, so like, make sure, one, you're using this little reaction button at the bottom. If we say something you like or love, use one of those buttons, and also use chat. If you've got questions, use that chat feature. So Hunter, what's the secret to stronger relationships, brother?
Well, I think for me personally, it is, I think there's some general concepts out there right now that are super important, which is, you talk about data-driven loan officers. And I would say, what is everything that we do that I think about with our team is I call it, what are we doing to uncommoditize ourselves? And, the combination of technology is so, in my opinion, overdone right now, that the idea of being to measure everything that we're doing from a personalization versus, like, what are we doing from a relationship standpoint versus a transaction? And I think lenders in general are, we're looked at as a transactional business. And I think the more that we can focus on the relational concept of that, the better. But at the same time, then you have, just drip campaigns. And, for me, as soon as I know that I'm on someone's drip campaign, I'm automatically out, right? Whoever it is, I'm automatically gone the second I know that I'm on someone's drip. So that, in addition to managing, from our perspective as a team, leads, pre-approvals, past clients, having a database, utilizing that database to get more leads. A great gal that I work with, she, one of her goals in 2 years is to literally have all 100% of her business coming out of her database. So to be able to mine your database, to be able to be in communication with people proactively, personally, having those people. So the balance of having some form of automation, but also being able to have people believe that you are personally involved in their lives and their business. That to me is where we win and where we have the opportunity to grow our business in an organic way that I personally want to grow my business. I don't want to be a transaction. I tell my business partners, I want to be a business partner. I don't want to be one of your vendors. So when Brian Sparr and I started talking, and I've started utilizing, Third Floor for my CRM, which, by the way, just as a point too, I think CRM should be called, in the mortgage business, it should be client relationship management, not customers. My dad always taught me customers serve cheeseburger. You buy a cheeseburger, you're a customer. Someone's, someone's getting a 400 or 800 or $1 million loan. That's a client, and they should be considered one. So with Brian and what he's done for us, I mean, the guy's like, it's like he's in my head. Every CRM I've looked at and tried to use, it's like, there's just so much crap coming at me. I don't know what to do with any of it. And with him, it's like he's designed this thing to help our team as a team communicate with each other, with our leads, with our business partners, with our clients, in a way that's highly usable and functional. And we're seeing the results from it. So that's about as good as I can do on, explaining what he's been doing for me. So hopefully that makes sense.
It does. The guys, I posted a question, what are you doing to uncommoditize yourself? I mean, clearly when you hear what Hunter's saying is the way he is working with Brian, and we're going to, flip to that and hear about it, is part of his strategy to uncommoditize himself. I mean, obviously MortgageCoach is part of that, delivering advice, not price, sales boomerang, and making sure that you know who are the contacts that are most probable to do a loan with you and who are most profitable, because that's the future lending. And by the way, that's also lending today, is turning your database into a competitive advantage. So make sure you let me know. I want to know, what are you doing to uncommoditize yourself? Put that in chat. We'll also, if you're watching this in the Facebook group, let us know. And if you're watching this as a recording in YouTube, let us know. Like, I really want to make sure myself and Deborah, as we're bringing more guests onto this platform, we're focusing on that. So Brian, let's go to you. How are you helping Hunter deliver on everything he just said?
Absolutely. And so I think one of the things that might help for me to frame a little context here is a little bit of my background first. And so today, yes, I'm running Third Floor, and we're a technology provider in the mortgage space. But my background is that I actually, I started out as a software developer. And one of the first startups I worked at was a company called Trulia, right? So that's what actually got me into the real estate space. While I was working at Trulia, I ended up getting my real estate license. And I eventually left Trulia and became a full-time realtor. And it was as my time as a realtor that I actually first crossed paths with Hunter. And so I had a horrendous experience with a lender that I had been working with previously, who put me in a pretty sticky situation. And it forced me to branch out my market and to find some different lenders. And Hunter's name was recommended to me multiple times by people in our office. So I sat down and met with him. And I would say probably, I don't know, Hunter, maybe my last 6 years or so, 8 years of being a realtor, you were our number one lender that we worked with. And so I've sat on the other side kind of what Hunter's talking about. And I was that business partner who literally judged he and his team on how they handled all of the leads that we sent their way, all of our clients. And one of the things I would say that always stuck out in my mind that I loved about Hunter and why he became our preferred guy was, I knew that it didn't matter who I sent to him. I knew what their experience was going to be like. I could send him CEO of a major company. I could send him my grandma. It didn't matter. I knew what their experience was going to be like. And I knew kind of what they were going to say, when they were going to say it. I knew that if they didn't have the best option, they would tell the client. I knew that he was confident enough in himself that he was okay losing out on a deal if that was the appropriate thing for that client. And so as a business partner, I mean, that just totally set me at ease with every single person that I would send their way. And what we've tried to do now, fast forward to today from a technology standpoint, is we've tried to take the systems that Hunter's put in place for his entire team. And we've looked at those systems and we've tried to say, okay, what of these pieces can be completely automated? What of these pieces can be partially automated? And how can we make sure that everybody on the team is marching in the same direction and understands the absolute latest with the client, with the loan, with everything related to that individual? And so that's a big thing of what we've tried to solve with technology. And so I don't know, Hunter, do you want me just to start showing
Sure.
what we do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, before you do that,
Yeah.
I want to get like a bit of a checklist of, as you think of, whether this is a loan officer watching this, whether this is someone in the C-suite, when you think of what they should be looking for in terms of how they help a loan officer leverage automation, just, give me a high level checklist, and then let's get into the tech and the tactics at hand.
Well, I would say one of the biggest issues that I've seen in just solutions out on the market today, and just speaking to individuals at each of those levels, and I kind of think of it as, you have like an individual loan officer, you have a team, you have a branch, you have a region, you have the entire company. And those are kind of the buckets that I tend to think of this in. And where there generally seems to be a disconnect is when you go down to the lowest level, to the individual loan officer, everything that they like to do is highly customized to themselves, their preferred way of operating, the way they try to generate their business. It's very specific, it's very custom. And as you start to step up each layer, right, you go from an LO to a team. Now, all of a sudden, you have to just deal with the fact that there's multiple individuals in different roles. You go up to a branch, you go up to the entire company wide, and all of a sudden it becomes very difficult for a company to be able to provide a solution that can truly work the way that individual loan officers, those people on the front lines, want the system and the tool to work in, to fit their desires. And because of this, what ends up happening a lot is the company purchases some program, they roll it out company-wide, and then the adoption is terrible, right? And the adoption is terrible because the people on the front lines, they're like, okay, well, this solves maybe a quarter of my needs, maybe half of my needs. And so they end up continuing to use spreadsheets and legal pads, and everything just becomes this hodgepodge of a mess, and it becomes very difficult then. And so LOs on the front line get frustrated, corporate gets frustrated because the adoption isn't there, and it's difficult. And so what we've tried to do from our side is we've tried to say, okay, can we build a platform that can truly be customized down to the individual loan officer, while at the same time still adhering to any rules, any regulations that a team wants to put in place, a branch wants to put in place, or the entire company wants to put in place. And it's a difficult problem to try to solve, but it's one that we're tackling. And I mean, Hunter can speak to this better than I, but I think we're doing a pretty good job of being able to do that, right? So, yeah.
Well, so takeaway for anyone listening to this, personalization, like it's a personalization. Hunter likes it because it allows him to not be perceived as a commoditized marketing drip platform. And then also it's able for him to customize it for himself. So, okay, cool. That's helpful from a high level standpoint. Deb or Todd, anything you want to ask before we get into tactics of what they're doing and how they're doing it? Todd has something.
No,
Oh, go ahead.
what was that, Dave?
Go ahead, Deb.
Oh, okay. I'm just ready to dive in and see, how you guys can personalize, because I agree. I think that's the hardest part, is whether it's an individual LO and then they're transitioning to building out a team. It's like, how many LOAs do I have? And what if that LOA leaves or I have to get rid of them? Then who takes that placeholder? And so there can be friction to where people fall back to Excel spreadsheets, but then that's hard to track and measure conversion and So I'm really excited to see how you built this and think it's a huge challenge for the industry for sure.
Well, I would just say, like, let it rip, right? We all cringe every time someone posts in the Trust Engine group, "What's your favorite CRM?" And the bottom line, I said, I know this is Hunter's favorite CRM, and so let's excited to see under the hood.
Very cool. All right, we'll dive into this. All right, I trust everybody can see my screen at this point.
We can. Yep.
All right, now obviously we're not going to show Hunter's live data kind of to the world right now. So we're just in a little demo account. We've got a bunch of dummy data in the system. But what you're looking at here is essentially the exact same layout as to what Hunter has. And right now we're just on the home page. And one of the things that we've done, and I'll just comment, like literally everything that you see on this screen, all of the navigation tabs across the top, everything that we're going to show you, all of it's customizable, literally down to the individual loan officer. And so what you're seeing is essentially Hunter's view when he logs in. And so now different people on his team may have a different view depending on their role, but we'll walk through as if we're Hunter. And so some of the big things that Hunter's always talked to me about is he wants to be able to know first thing in the morning exactly how his team is doing, right? He wants to know how many leads are they generating, how many pre-approvals are they, processing, and how many loans are they closing? And so what we do just right off the bat is we just give him exactly that high level little eye candy here to where he can see, year over year numbers broken down by the month for his leads, his pre-approvals, and his fundings. And then we go into a little more detail and we tell him, all right, exactly how many did you generate today, this week, this month, this year, and so forth. And it's literally, it's nothing more than to be that just kind of quick little sanity check. Hey, are we on track with what our goals are? And now obviously we can go a lot deeper on any of the reporting, but for the purpose of when Hunter first logs in, he gets this front and center, exactly how the team is performing. And then,
sorry, Brian, I just have to add in. I mean, for me, whether or not you're an individual loan officer, you need to know if you don't know your data, you're screwed, right? And I think this market with where we've all gone, honestly, right? I mean, we were all, a year and a half ago, I was excited to look at these numbers when I would turn this on. Now I'm honestly not as happy to look at the numbers, but for the team also, we used to send out a daily metric. Bridget would send it out on how many leads came in, how many pre-approvals were issued, how many loans funded. And that was us having to be having manual processes in place to keep the team informed. But I think from a leadership management standpoint, if a team can log on every day and the whole team sees this as to what we're doing, it gives people, some level of pressure to, if you got a team of 8 and you're bringing in a lead or 2 a day, you got some serious problems down the road, right? So it's very proactive to tell everybody what's going on, just the pulse of how your operation is doing without with it being automated. So anyway.
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, that's good. As we scroll down a little bit further, we get into an active loan section. And
real quick, I do want to insert something real quick. Just, a data, we've got to compass what we call, being a data-driven mortgage advisor. And this is, due like west, due east. They know their numbers and they win by noon. So I do, whether you're getting this from your CRM, guys, you got to know your numbers. That is like 101 business that, whether you have this CRM, you have a different CRM, or whether you do it, I know Hunter is in the core and they've got a greatness tracker and you're doing it with your pen and your paper. Every mortgage professional needs to know these numbers no matter how you do it in this market, especially in this market. Anyways, keep it rocking.
So the next section we have is what we just refer to as our active loan section. And the idea here is we want to remove all of the anxiety that the individual LO or team members are going to have just related on, what is happening with our current loans, right? And I think especially as you start to get bigger and you start to deal with more loans, at a single time, you can have this a little bit of anxiety every morning of wondering, hey, did I forget about a key date? Is there something that's happening today that I forgot about? And so what we simply try to do is, again, right off the bat, first thing in the morning, we want to remove that anxiety. And we literally break down and we tell you, here are the big events related to your active loans that are happening today. Here's what's going to be happening tomorrow. And then here's what's happening in the upcoming week. And so for anybody that's, routinely using the system, there is zero excuse for them to be surprised by the fact that a contingency needs to be removed or somebody is signing. There's no reason for them not to be fully aware of everything that's happening, right? And Hunter, again, you can comment on this, but I know as a realtor, right, one of the things that I always loved about Hunter's team was they were on top of everything that was happening with the loans. And so, and granted, they were doing it with spreadsheets in the beginning, and now we're putting, some automation and logic behind all of this. But it gave me comfort as the realtor to know that, hey, the lender is on top of it, right? Because we worked with a lot of lenders who miss dates, and that can be a frustrating process there.
Well, and it's not, I mean, for me personally, as the LO, I'm sitting here. I mean, if you're doing any sort of business and you have any sort of a team, you're not going to know where everything is all the time. And the amount of, like, if I'm on the road, I promise myself I'm never going to take a phone call from the road because I always sound like an idiot because I don't have anything in front of me and I don't know what I'm doing, right? So someone asks like, hey, Hunter, are we okay to remove continue? I'm like, I have no freaking idea. Let me hang on one second. Let me, I'm just on the other line. Then I call the team and then I do this. If I'm in front of this, I know I look like I'm in charge and on top of everything because, I mean, Brian, I don't want to mess with you, but I mean, it's like, I just go to one section called active loans and it tells me contingency removal date. My team's already added in, they've put their notes in there. It's just this one fluid place for me to look at. And I look like I'm on top of everything. And if it's, whether or not it's a lead, I look like I'm on top of my lead because of all the data that's in there. If it's a pre-approval, I look like I'm on top of my pre-approval. So it's just, I think loan officers you're a better salesperson when you have confidence in what you're talking about. And for me, having actual data that I can trust real time is just, honestly, it gives me confidence to be better. So.
And real quick, Brian, what is the difference between the blue and the orange colors?
Purchase versus refi.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a way to somewhat highlight the different types of loans that may be going on. So yeah. So in this example, I'm sorry, what's that?
Brian, you may be getting to this. I just know that, it's spring home buying season. And I want to make sure we also see how, a pre-approval funnel, TBD, where someone is approved, but they don't have a property yet. I want to understand that whenever you get to it.
Awesome. Absolutely. It's coming up soon. Okay. So that's our little active loan section. The next piece that we put in place is what we refer to as get to work, right? And this is the idea of, you get some individuals who show up to work in the morning, not sure what they need to do. And so we want to remove that. We will, to the extent that you want us to tell you what to do every day, we will. And the way that we break it down is we break it down into 3 different sections. And in Hunter's case, right, a huge part of his day is just driven by the calls that he has to make. So we give him a separate section related to just today's calls. And these calls can be a blend of basically 3 different things. One of them is anybody on his team can manually assign him a call to make, right? And so they set the date for the call, who it's with, they put the reason, and it's set, and it just automatically shows up on his call list on the day that it's needed to be made. So that's one way that's manual. A second way is we allow data to drive some of these calls. So one of the examples is, whenever Hunter goes into a new contract with somebody, he wants to call and congratulate the borrower, and he wants to call the listing agent and the buyer's agent. And so when we see that a new contract has just come in, we automatically create and assign those 3 calls to Hunter's call list. And he has, a number of places throughout the life cycle of working with a client to where we will just automatically create these calls and put them on his list. Which I think, by the way, is important when we talk. I mean, like for me, the big thing is I don't want to be overly automated. So the automation is reminding me to make the call, and then I'm making the call, which isn't, I mean, obviously I'm the one that has to make the call, but it's not
It's not some drip that they're going to get. It's my actual voice. And I think the point too is this is a process that we created. Someone else that works in our branch might not believe in calling the listing agent and buying agent. So there's not an automatic trigger for them to call the agents when you go into contract. So that's, when he talks about it being customizable, those are the types of details that we're talking about. And I also just have to say again, for people to kind of imagine, it's like, if you do have any team, it's like, how many times does someone interrupt you to make a phone call, to do this, to do that? Is it an email? Did they text you? As long as I'm in front of this and everyone's working through it, that's all we have to do. So it's a single place where I can go to just have my day driven for me instead of trying to figure out what to do.
Exactly. And then the third type of call that we'd mention is related to, anybody who has a certain type of call that they want to make on a specific day, right? I know for Hunter, every Tuesday, he's calling everybody that he's, has an active contract with, right? And so we know on every Tuesday on his list, we need to include every realtor that he's actively in a deal with for him to call. And then at the same time, we know that the borrowers get called by a different team member. And so for that team member, we serve up those borrower calls every Tuesday. And so we literally can, break out every single day. You can essentially have a different theme or combination of themes that you want to call, and we will then include those people on this list. Now, I won't go into all the details, but there's a lot of additional logic that we put into this behind the scenes to make it to where if you tell us, hey, I want to call 10 past clients every Thursday and only 10, and I want to make sure I talk to everybody twice a year, we have the logic in the system to be able to meet that criteria for you as well. And so like what we're showing here in this little example is, okay, Hunter has to call the buyer's agent. He needs to congratulate a borrower for new contracts. He's got some birthday calls that popped up, and then he has 3 VIP partner calls to make, right? And so this is just an example of what a day could look like to him if on a Friday he wanted to make sure he's calling through his VIPs, right? That's a general idea behind this. Now, the second section we have in here, these are just your standard tasks. This is, what everybody thinks of as a task. If you need to, do some research, if you need to email somebody, write a thank you card, whatever, those tasks show up in this middle section like you would expect. Now, the third section, though, I think is where it also gets a little interesting. And we didn't talk about this in the beginning, but a big piece of what Third Floor is trying to do is we want to connect into as much of somebody's systems and tools and technology as they're willing and able to give us access to. And then it's from those connections that we sit back and we monitor all of the activity that's happening, and we look for signals and we look for insights that we can then surface back up to the loan officer to take action on if they want. So in this example here, right, we basically show Ricky Henderson viewed a TCA last night, Jacob DeGrom triggered a sales boomerang equity alert, and Garrett Cole ran a refi scenario on Homebot. If you recognize those names, they're all baseball players. I like baseball a little bit, but the idea is if we're connected, if we know that you're a Homebot user, right, we want to integrate into Homebot for you, not just to simply add people into their system, but instead we want to monitor kind of continuously all of the behavior that every one of your clients have within that Homebot system. Same thing if you're a BombBomb user, right? We'll monitor the videos that you send out and who's viewing them. Obviously, we hope everybody here is, MortgageCoach and Sales Boomerang, and we want to, we will monitor when somebody's viewing a TCA, when a Sales Boomerang alert happens, and then we will surface them up if it makes sense. And I think this is kind of it's a little nuance there, but it's important, right? Because there's certain things like you could use a mortgage inquiry alert. And in fact, this came up with a client. A mortgage inquiry alert happened for one of their past clients. And so they received the Sales Boomerang alert, which we would expect. But they had actually already spoken to that client and they had referred them out because it was a specific like HELOC that they couldn't do for a loan. And so that's an example to where if you were doing just pure automation right? You may have a system kind of create the TCA, send out some automation, whatever. But if your system has a little more intelligence to it, it would actually recognize that no, yes, there was an inquiry alert, but we've actually been speaking to this person. We know that this happened. We're okay with it. We don't need to do anything. And so that would be a scenario to where another platform is signaling something, but we know it's, in this case, a false positive. And so we would then ignore it or kind of suppress it. And so we wouldn't kind of waste the LO's time going through these items that they already are aware of and they're okay with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, that is definitely my favorite thing so far. And not just because I'm Mortgage Coach, Sales Boomerang, and you're showing how we can live inside of a dashboard for a data-driven mortgage advisor. But I love anytime that you could turn chaos into clarity. And I love the way this is laid out. And let's face it, guys, we're in mortgage. There's two kinds of deals with problems and deals with solved problems. I mean, it's a chaotic business. And when you have a platform like this that's thoughtfully designed and it integrates with multiple platforms, and then it brings that to you as a mortgage professional and tells you what to do. I mean, that is the future of lending, guys. And it is here today. You're going to see, more tech like this. You're going to see more hunters implementing tech like this and using multiple platforms. I mean, Mortgage Coach is delivering the advice so that you can decommoditize yourself at the point of sale and create more value. Boomerang is proactively monitoring your database using outside data sources to help you predict profitability and probability. And then Homebot is it's a valuable platform that helps the consumer build wealth and manage wealth with their biggest asset. And so you've got multiple platforms feeding into a single interface. Super impressive, super powerful. Guys, let us know what you think so far. I mean, personally, I'm going to give that a heart. Nice job, dude. And any other comments or questions? Deb or Todd, any thoughts so far?
Just real quick, I wanted to make sure where it said today's calls, does that duplicate to then today's task, or were those, because I saw Ryan Serhant on there twice, are those two different?
So anytime in our system for a task, if you specify the task as being a call, we'll show it in two different places, just because not everybody, again, this is kind of like this is Hunter's view, right? Hunter's big piece for how he drives his day is related to calls. Other people on his team, they may not have a call section that may be replaced with something else. And so we want to make sure that the calls get surfaced kind of in as many places so you're aware of it, right? We basically don't want Hunter to be able to use an excuse of, oh, hey, sorry, I didn't see that, right? Is why he didn't do his work.
Which I can do.
Darn, we
I
can't use that
find it hard to
excuse
believe.
anymore?
Yeah, I find that hard to believe. We're getting some other questions too. Is it primarily for teams, or can it be set up for individual loan officers as well?
It's absolutely for individuals. It literally goes from an individual all the way through teams, branches, all the way up to the entire corporate level. Yep.
And then Liz asked, where does the data go when the task is completed and Bill kind of piled on? Is it recorded in LOS, CRM inside of Third Floor? Could you speak to that?
Well, so at a base level, everything gets recorded within Third Floor, right? We're tracking everything. We're a little anal about that, but yes, we track everything in our own system. And then as far as where else it could be tracked, it simply depends on the integrations that we're allowed to do, right? And so as an example, when we first started working together, Hunter's team was operating off of a Google spreadsheet. And so we literally layered all of this type of automation on top of his spreadsheet. And as things would happen, we would push data into his spreadsheet automatically, right? And so if somebody wanted us to push the fact that some sort of event has occurred into another platform, we absolutely can. That's in our wheelhouse. But like I said, at the base minimum, we're recording everything.
Got it. So keep the questions coming, guys. And this is recorded. It will be in our Mortgage Coach YouTube channel Real quick, just because there's already people that want to know how to contact you to learn more, for anyone that is listening to this and they want to, get a demo or they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Easiest way is to shoot me an email, Brian at thirdfloor.ai. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me, I'm on Instagram, kind of wherever, but email's easiest. You can also just go to our website, thirdfloor.ai, and request a demo there.
Sweet. All right. We'll
Cool.
keep it rocking. We got 20 or 19 minutes left. What else?
19 minutes. All right. Well, I'm going to make one last comment around insights. So Dave, you mentioned how, becoming data-driven is more and more important, and I couldn't agree more. One of the things that I'd kind of plant a seed for people to start thinking about is, as you start connecting into more and more of these platforms, right? These platforms are starting to generate more and more data. And if your CRM or whatever platform that you're working with, if their integration doesn't apply a lot of logic on top of how they handle that data, you will very quickly start, as you say, swimming in chaos within your own CRM, right? And so this is something that we've tried to be very conscious about. It's the fact that, Homebot serves up so much behavioral data to us that's fantastic, but you have to have a system that can kind of automatically process it and make sense out of it. And so I would hesitate to have people just kind of blindly say, hey, these are the 3 platforms I'm using. I'm going to integrate all of them into a CRM, and I'm going to push all that data into the CRM, because you're going to end up blowing up your CRM and it's going to become unusable, or at least that data is going to be unusable for you. And so as you look for solutions to do this type of stuff with, just make sure that they're thinking about how they handle the volume of data that not only comes today, but what's going to be coming, over the next couple of years, because it's only increasing. And so
I want to make sure everybody's clear on this. So someone could have, a CRM, whether it's a company-wide CRM or a CRM they've signed up individually. And the way you've designed this, it's like, hey, however you want to use our platform, features it doesn't have or whatever, but this can handle, an infinite number of technologies that can plug into this, including some of the most common CRMs in the mortgage industry today.
absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was clear. Which, by the way, guys, this is, to me, this is the future of technology, where best of breed platforms are an integration first platform. Here at MortgageCoach and Sales Boomerang, we think the best interface is no interface. While we do provide an interface for Sales Boomerang and we do provide an interface for MortgageCoach, we have a lot of companies that have proprietary technology, or they leverage a technology like this, and the loan officer goes to one tech, and I'm all good with that. One thing I particularly like about what I've heard so far is that while you are a CRM and you can do a lot, you play really friendly with all the people that already integrate with us. You're just there to try to bring clarity to chaos and uber personalization to both the originator and to the consumer. I mean, that's like that. You're a personalization engine. I don't know if you like that term or not, but that's how I'm seeing it.
I'll take it and run with it. Absolutely.
Hey, Brian, why don't we, I'm thinking like a loan officer, like, why don't we show them like with our intake notes and how that goes out to business partners and clients?
Sure. Give me 2 minutes to touch on something that David had requested earlier.
Okay.
So Dave, one of the things that you talked about was related to pre-approvals, right? And like specifically like TBDs and things like that. Well, one of these sections I'm going to put in that we're showing you right here. So Hunter calls it their PA review queues. And so one of the big problems that they have as a team, and quite honestly, I hear about it from nearly everybody that I talk to, it's this idea of, from the time I send somebody an application until we get them like fully pre-approved, it's working through that process and getting that pull through together can be a nightmare. And a lot of the way that people do it is they end up like living in their email, checking for, depending on their POS, right? Blend alerts, simple nexus alerts, whatever. They start seeing things from their LOS, and it's very, very difficult for them to try to manage. And I mean, Hunter can attest to this. He literally had, multiple team members spending multiple hours every day trying to monitor this stuff. And so what we've done for them is we've literally broken out that segment of their business into these smaller little sections. And in their case, they've got, I think it's, they got 7 different sections. They have from, oops, let me come back here. From when somebody starts an app to when they complete it, to when they're ready for his setup team, if they need more docs, if they're ready to be reviewed, if they're ready for his fast track, and if they've been submitted to fast track. And again, this is all kind of dummy data in the system, so we don't have people in all of these. But what we're doing here is we're monitoring everything that's happening within their POS. And so as somebody moves through this process and as they submit an app and as they start to upload docs, we're automatically moving them through these buckets. And then different team members on for Hunter are able to, they basically are responsible for their own buckets. And they no longer have to live in email. They no longer have to bounce around between multiple systems to see what happens. They can see in real time where everybody is in the process. And then, I think the added benefit to it is then, Hunter, as being the team leader, he can step back and he can come into this, and we put rules on these to where people are only allowed to be in a bucket for a certain amount of time before the system alerts. And so these alerts start to happen anytime something starts to go sideways. And again, as a business partner, right, I would want to know, I would want an update if something is starting to go sideways. And it gives Hunter and his entire team the ability to be very proactive in all of their communication to the borrowers, to the referral partners, everybody, about what's happening, where somebody is in the process. And I don't know, Hunter, if you want to chime in on any of this, but I think this was a pretty big impact for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, we keep talking about teams, whether or not I think for an individual LO, it's more important almost, right? Because you have, you're trying to wear an operations hat, you're trying to run, have a sales hat on, you're trying to, keep everybody, customer relationship, everything. So it's like to be able to look and see in one place where all of what your clients are doing, is critical. So yeah, this single piece right here for us is like, it's the game changer, I would say, for us moving over. I think someone asked what's FT. FT is just fast track, which is getting fully underwritten. That's something that we use at cross country. So it's just, in our market, and I think most markets these days, everything we do, it's like pre-approvals are okay. We want to get them fully underwritten ahead of time so we can, remove contingencies, things like that. So that's what fast track means, that it's ready to go through the actual underwriting process.
And this is example again that highlights from, when you send somebody an app until you get them pre-approved. This concept though can be applied to any piece of your business. So for other clients that we have, we do something very similar related to their new leads, right? Literally think of from the time you get a lead until you actually are able to send them, the loan app. You can break that into smaller sections and who's responsible for what based on timing. And so we can apply this concept literally to any segment of your business and of the sales process that you want. But in this case, we're just showing the app pull through here.
And I literally, like yesterday, I converted a lead to work with us because their other lender was too pushy. And I'm talking to them and I'm realizing it wasn't the lender being too pushy. It was the lender having automated tasks for updated documentation. And it just kept piling on them daily. We shut ours off and we reach out to the clients if we need to get something, instead of just harassing the crap out of them with an automated touch. So that to me is, again, the balance of personalization with automation. So it's like Brian third floor automates everything for us, and then we decide what we want to do with that.
And I think that's a great point too, because I think a lot of people, I don't know if they place enough kind of importance on the fact that from that client's perspective or from your business partner's perspective, you're providing kind of one experience for them that they are going to judge you on, right? And I think a lot of us, we may think, well, hey, my POS is sending out alerts and I can't control it, right? we're using these different systems, Homebot sending out a monthly email that I can't really control. Maybe I have an old drip in place that's running and I don't love it. Corporate marketing is sending out stuff, whatever. I think as individuals, sometimes we kind of brush those off as in, well, it is what it is. But to Hunter's example right there, it's extremely important from that end user, right? They don't understand that these are 4 or 5 different systems or different entities sending this communication. They just know that it's from Hunter. And if they don't like it, that basically means that they don't like Hunter, right? And they're going to base their experience and their opinions off of that holistic experience. And that's where, to the extent that somebody wants us to, right, we can step in and take over that communication, whether it's automated or whether we're alerting a team, whatever, but we can make it so you have one voice across all the different systems that you're using and leveraging. And I think it's unbelievably powerful when you start diving into your ability to convert, your ability to generate referrals, and just creating that overall kind of 5-star, that wow experience. All right, we'll jump in here into one of these. So we'll use this as an example. For Hunter, right now we're looking at a contact screen within Hunter's system. And what he has in all of his is he has a purchase intake form. So it's a list of questions that he likes to ask every single client on the first call that they have. And so we've taken his list and we've just baked it right into the heart of the CRM form. And again, this is something that's completely customizable. And so you have a different list, we'll put your list in here. And the whole idea is that as Hunter's making his call, he can literally be in the system taking notes. It's like, how did they meet the referral source? They met at an open house. Are they a first-time home buyer? No. They own in Danville, right?
Like Dave, real quick too, just for anyone listening, Dave, you and I have talked about this before. This to me is like loan officers now, they just take on a lead. It's like they just forward a loan application. It's like, call me when you're done with the app. I like to go through this, like to convert the lead by having a way more in-depth conversation about, if I can understand all of this information and I can save it, the client feels like we have a connection. I'm able to save all of this information. Most importantly, how this thing came about in the first place was saving it for my team members, because I was notorious, like every other loan officer, for giving everyone half-baked information. So this makes me have a detailed conversation with every lead to understand what their motivations are, how they were referred, like what their connection is to the referral source. Do I need to help them? Do I need to help the referral partner more by complimenting them, whatever the case might be? So it's like, if I can do a good job for 30 minutes with this information, it sets the tone for the rest of for the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah.
And guys, if anyone watch this, you can take a screenshot of that. And I mean, this is, Hunter is one of the most successful team leader mortgage professionals in the country. I mean, and a lot of his success, is he's having an incredible conversation where he's asking strategic questions, going beyond the transaction. Really, his goal is to help that family strategically, like deliver the best strategy. And then he's delivering a total cost analysis, which is a part of the advice that he's providing. But guys, this little nugget right here could improve everybody's conversion if you really make sure you're asking the right questions. And Hunter just shared it with you.
And by the way, Dave, that little MC any rates quoted, that's MortgageCoach. Any, like, for the team, like if I quoted someone whatever rates, just so I don't know how many times you guys have all gone, you quote a rate 2 months ago, all of a sudden they come back in and it's completely different. So this saves it for the team, so we know exactly what we did. Someone just asked, like, personality type. Yeah, I'm trying to, the whole idea, and where Brian will take this really quick, is this information then goes out. He'll show you where I do it. I then forward this to business partners. So it says share intake notes. That goes out to the business partner. The only thing that I take back is I'll just say on the financial information, I'll just say internal to the company, so that I'm not broadcasting what someone makes, whatever. But personality type, I'm trying to get back to my business partner and trying to explain to the team, I'm not looking for, are they a D or they an I, whatever. I'm looking for engineer, wants quick information, preferably by email. So that goes out to the business partner. Or it's a school teacher, super sweet, wants a lot of communication, wants education, like give plenty of time to talk to her or him. They're going to talk for an hour, right? Like, so I provide that information to my business partners so that they know what they're going into when they're talking to these same people.
Yeah, and Todd just called out in chat that this reminded him of Jeremy's presentation. Jeremy talked about how to, at the Modern Mortgage Summit, how to really optimize every 1003. And by the way, I'm going to be interviewing Jeremy and Wally Ellerberry, because Wally, he was so impressed with what Jeremy did, he wanted to learn it well enough for him to train it. And so stay tuned next week. We've already scheduled that, and we're going to be talking about how Jeremy and Wally are optimizing every 1003. But guys, this is gold. We only got 4 minutes left, so I'll kind of let you pace what you make sure you want to get in here, and then Todd and Deborah, you'll have like a minute to either add your color or ask another question.
Sure. So I'll run quickly. So what I showed you here is Hunter gets, after he's done with this call, clicks a button. We automatically format his email to go to the referral partner. He copies his business partners on this, and then we have a template. And then in his case, basically whatever items he filled out in that intake form, we just bullet list in here, and he can come in and make any further changes that he wants and sends it off, right? And so literally he's just updated the referral partner 10 seconds after the call. And then assuming it was a good call, he comes in and clicks send his app link. And now this goes to the borrower, and, thanks again for taking the time to chat. Here's a link to the loan app, and away they go. So it's literally within, a couple clicks, 30 seconds after the call, he's given an amazing update to the business partner, something that I'll pretty much guarantee they're not getting from anybody else that they're working with. And he's just moved this borrower forward in the process. And these are the types of things that we try to do, that's to where we're blending, some automation and some logic to generate this stuff, but we're putting it at Hunter's fingertips so he can control when it gets delivered and exactly how it goes out. And so I think that's a big piece to it. Then I would say, if we got a couple minutes, the last thing that I would maybe touch on for us is get into a little bit of reporting. And so I'm not going to show you everything, but at the end of the day, we're a data junkie company, right? We love numbers. We love breaking it down. And so, we're tracking and we're recording everything. And then we want to give the end user the ability to not only see that data, but to see it in a meaningful way, right? And so here's an example to where you specify any time frame that you want, and then we break down, and again, this is dummy data, so don't put any stock into it, but we break down all the different lead sources that Hunter has, and we tell him how many leads came in, how many of those were apps, how many did he pre-approve, locks, fundings, all the way through. We go into like individual leaderboards. So again, you specify a time frame and you want to know who's sending me leads, who am I closing deals with, right? A lot of us, or a lot of LOs, think they know who like their top 25, top 50 partners are. Well, here's the reality, right? You choose your time frame and we will tell you exactly who's sending you leads and who you're closing business with. And then what we do on this, though, is not only do we show it for a team perspective, an individual perspective, but we allow you to do roll-ups on this. If you're working with teams, right, you can come in here, and maybe if I bounce my data back a little bit, you start to see a little bit more. If you have teams in the system, we'll give you a roll-up for how the entire team is doing and what they're sending to you at the entire company level, right? So if anybody is, if you're doing co-marketing with anybody, if you've got an MSA with an office, this is the way that you can come in and you can easily verify, is that marketing spend resulting in an ROI that I want and that I'm willing to continue with. And then the last piece I'll just kind of mention, because we know that Hunter is part of Core, we spit out some reports that are in kind of the Core format for his homework. And so again, we just want to make it easy for him. He can come in, he can run a lead tracker for whatever date range that he wants. He can export it into a spreadsheet, share it with his coach, and away he goes. And so we do this with a number of different coaching programs. If we know how they like to see their numbers, we just build out the report. So we make it super simple for the LO at the end of the day to know what they're doing in their business.
Hey, Brian, if you don't mind stopping to share your screen. So first of all, dude, you killed it. Not only did you, give us a bit of a demo, I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but you also just gave value. I always think like, I've been selling software for a long time, and my goal is to always, one, sell my software, but two, make sure that people just got value beyond, whether they invest and become a customer of mine. Like, I want it to be worth an hour of their time, and you delivered on that, brother. Todd, any questions you have or anything you want to say to close this out? And then Hunter will give you the closing thoughts.
I mean, I think the big takeaway for everyone is obviously it's a really cool system. He's done a lot here, showing us how he's built it out and customized it for Hunter and his team, which I think is awesome. And I think really just back up regardless of what position you're in and think about, what is the process that you're putting your team or yourself, if you're one person team, and what your clients are going through. Just a really well thought out experience. And just think, even if it's not an opportunity for you right now to switch CRMs or jump into what he has, just think, are you doing the things that they've thoughtfully built into this system? That's really what obviously the superpower of it is, and the integrations. And so I'm excited to connect and learn more, and appreciate you guys sharing. This was a great opportunity for the community to think differently.
Hunter,
Appreciate it.
My final thoughts is just, salespeople are salespeople. Where you're weak, and this stuff, what Third Floor does for me is it literally hides my weaknesses. It launches my strengths. I'll just end it with this. I had a gentleman who, he's probably watching this, I don't know, he's starting with us right now, and we were doing a demo for him on this, and he comes into my office after the demo and he said, Jesus Christ, now I know why I'm losing every deal to you. So it's just like, it's a game changer. And I do think it's, whether or not you're an individual, I really think it's actually as useful or more useful for an individual LO that doesn't have a team, because it serves as the team. So, but yeah, that's it, man. It's great stuff, Brian. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
Dave. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Hey, good seeing you. Thanks, everyone.
Next time out. I get the closing thought. First of all, it's too sweet. Good to see you watching this. And I do want everyone to think of technology beyond just, the automation. Like, it is a team. Like, if you have the right technology and you implement it well, it can not only, be a full-time employee, it can be like a team. When you think of what Sales Boomerang does from a data perspective, it's like having a data scientist on your team and a whole team of people. And you look at a platform like this and the way it's pulling data from multiple platforms, guys, it's like having a full-time client concierge, making sure that you're at the right place at the right time. It's someone that's helping you connect with realtors. So guys, great call. Thanks everyone. If you got value, give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to, both our YouTube channels. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys.